Next item on the agenda is roll call, please.
Board Member Anderson, Board Member Ian Cordova, Board Secretary Dr. William Caesar, Board Vice President Paul Gonzalez, Board President Michael Hernandez.
Perfect. You have a quorum. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
A motion by Dr. Missouri, do I have a second?
Mr. Chair. One of our presenters is running remotely. In the event that she did, which that has been identified by that.
Yes. Right now, the agenda will more sorry. I have a motion by Dr. Missouri, I have a second by Mr. Romero. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. October 23rd, 2025, regular board meeting. I make a motion that we approve October 23rd, 2025, regular board meeting. Second. A motion and have a second by Mr. Romero. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is public input. We have no public input at this time. Next item will be the finance report. The finance committee met yesterday, November 18, 2025. The October 25 financial report for the general and student activity accounts for review as follows. Operating activity bank reports and check disbursements. Operating revenue and expenditure reports by fund. Purchase orders issued in October of 2025. Payroll journal reports, fund balance reports, pledge collateral report, budget adjustment requests to include number one, initial budget bar 0069. Second initial budget bar 069. Third initial budget bar 069. Fourth is increased budget bar 069. Number five is decreased budget bar 069. And number six is transfer bar 069. The recommendation by the committee is to approve the financial reports of October 2025 and budget adjustment requests. Upon that, committee approval, Ms. Sandoval, what's your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So, what is K-12? One of the first,
The K-12 funding
how can fund, it just says K-12, K-11.
is it, I'm sorry,
It says K-12, and then there's a lot of money going to spurt, I don't know, who K-12 is, who K-12 is.
K-12 accounting, those are the individuals that are supporting us. This Gonzalez, our payroll person.
So we're paying an outside entity to do our payroll, we're doing in-house support,
Yes.
a lot of money. Or somebody that's doing in-house.
Well, they're the big ones, big components to that. So, and this was, article in August or July, working with the July party. But we have fuel services that they were, sending in for, assistant business manager role, ours with the account, and so that went in October, so that part of the service will stop, and then also the so we have to meet something that, they provide.
What are they talking about?
They help, they help me, new business manager,
What's that?
for the new business manager.
So it's like.
Training. That's fine.
Mr. Miller, any other questions? Upon the recommendation from Ms. Sandoval, I make a motion that we approve, all consent items A through C. Do I have a second? A second by Dr. Missouri. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is presentation, item A, campus master plan, FBT architect, Sanjay Engineering and Ryan Parks. These are the gentlemen, are just walking the door. Very good. Everybody.
Um. Do we have a flashback, just a little bit of an update, that feel free to plug in.
So while they prepare, I can kind of recommend, the presentation section, Mr. Chairman. So what I've been doing over the last, few months, have been to explore, various scenarios on how, we as a district can save money. What avenues we can take to look at future planning with regards to GEO bond funding that we have, SEG funding that we are receiving, of course, based off of enrollment, and seeing that that is a decrease, it has been for the last 10 years or so, trying to explore different ways of how we can do some work. As you all know, we do have the combo campus for Santa Fe Middle School that has been approved for a new project and rebuild. But before doing that, some of the discussions that we have been to take a look at Robertson High School and what we can do with that campus in the future. So I believe it was in August, we got approval from the US board to engage FBT architects in giving us some feedback in regards to what that future planning may look like. So Mr. Engineer and Mr. Parks are here to present that information. I presented a little bit last month, but the experts are with us today. And we'll be talking about what they have as a vision for it.
Welcome. Welcome. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ryan Parks with FBT Architects, and with Sanjay Engineer, Vice President of FBT. Yes, very good timing, but we don't like being that on time. We got into a very bad accident and right outside of, or right in Albuquerque, and messed the whole trip up. But we're very happy to be here, and Sanjay, we want to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to collaborate with the district leadership on this effort. We've got just some initial ideas that will allow improvements to happen both at Robertson Middle School as well as Robertson High School, as well as other campus facilities that you all have district assets. And so with that, we will actually start with our study that we did for the high school. The goal was to look at potentially how the CTE program at the high school would improve with a newer facility to replace the existing building, which currently some of the middle school kids are using the middle school component, but they are sharing both the middle and high school sharing the CTE component. So the goal for us was what a new facility would look like. But before we go into it, I think we have the campus plan, which I think most of you know the campus, so we're going to go through that real quick.
So this is a 3D image. We flew a drone over the high school campus and captured the most current layout and topography and whatnot. And so as you can see, in the lower corner there is the old Paul D. Henry site. The school has been since demolished a few years back. And there, of course, is the football field And the main gymnasium, which, as we know, is really important to the school and community to maintain. Also is the middle of the campus is the maintenance and transportation area, currently where it is. Then, of course, up at the upper level is where the Memorial Middle School students are, as well as the high school currently resides up there. One of the items that we discussed was how could we get a few more athletic components on this site, so that there was a true kind of athletic region within the campus. So right now at Memorial Middle School, there's baseball fields, there's a soccer field in very great shape. And but what would that look like if we could get some of those components over to the high school site as well? And so as we move into the next slide, we'll talk about some of these things.
So that everybody kind of recognizes the Robertson High School campus was built over many years. So you have buildings that are disjointed, they are separate. There is a grade level change, which is clearly also a challenge from the main campus to the athletic facilities, almost a 20 feet of drop. And so the goal, as we consider future improvements, would be how can all the students come under one roof so that facility can be easily secured. You have all students in one campus versus them being disjointed, recognizing that the existing high school would still be, existing gymnasium would still be maintained, which is shown in number 7 right there. But when we started looking at the CTE program, we started by putting that at the Albany Henry School site, which is shown as number 4. But that was creating the same scenario that you lived with for many years, where you have buildings that are disjointed. So in today's time, putting money towards a campus improvement that would really not function well was something we wanted to recommend going against or not looking at that. So the next improvement we came up with was to put it actually close to the new facility. So how does the new facility work? Once the combo school is built at the middle school campus, the middle school students will move to that campus. So it allows a lot of real estate to be kind of demolished and potential place for the new school to be built. And that's what you're looking at is the number one is doing a new school with an entrance now from Baca Street. We could keep it from the 5th Street also potentially. But it allows for building a new facility while the existing facility towards the northern side would still remain maintained. So the high school students would still have access to their existing educational component while we build a new facility. And then when the old facility is demolished, the new CTE program can then be built close to the new building, and that creates all the programs at the upper level of the campus. A couple of other drivers for this improvement is to separate parent and bus drop-off so that you have clear separation and safety. And in this scenario, we've got parent drop-off near the front door. The yellow part is the new administration and front door at the bottom. The buses would then be on campus. Right now, a lot of these streets are used for drop-off points, but when this new development happens, you would have real estate to actually put all vehicular traffic on campus, providing additional safety to the students. So as we look at the upper level portion, Number one is a two-story building, just like how what you got, but it would all be under one roof. A new cafeteria and kitchen, which would be further to the north, access from the Fifth Street, along with the service drive there. And then between the new building and the CTE could be some outdoor play activity area that connects students for socialization during their lunch periods. Looking at the athletic component, if the CTE does go up on the top, it allows the Pauli Henry site to potentially be developed for future playfields. That can be either a multi-purpose playfield, practice playfield for football, soccer component. A lot of those activities can happen. You maintain your main athletic track and field, but then add baseball and softball towards the north side, close to where the tennis courts are. We do recognize that there is a drainage channel that kind of cuts through east-west. It's actually draining east. And then on the upper side of the fields where potentially some additional parking can be developed, especially for programs that happen for baseball or for football games. You would still maintain all of your lower level parking. And then, as Ryan was talking about with regards to the transportation, maintenance, and warehouse, that portion actually occupies a prime component of your Robertson High School campus. You have an opportunity to leave it there and nothing would change. Or you have an opportunity in the future to move that to potentially the Sierra Elementary site, because you will have Sierra Elementary students in the new combo school and the middle school. If that were to happen, now you have a clean campus for Robertson High School for its future development that would provide for the next 50, 60 years of education for those students in a very well-defined atmosphere versus it being chopped up with other functions on campus. So I talked a little bit about the transportation. We can show you that and then come back for questions.
So here is a simple graphic that's showing Los Niños and Sierra Vista, and as we mentioned, once the combo school is in, the Sierra Vista site would be open for other functions. And so this is illustrating there's really just kind of two main access points right now for the two schools. And we want to maintain those, and we want to maintain safety for Los Niños kids and staff, parents. In the upper corner there is one of the active links that's still on the site, and we think we need to maintain that. So we've kept it there. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that once Sierra is taken down, there's quite a bit of real estate for the maintenance, transportation, and warehouse components of the district to move into another site with a little bit better layout and a little bit more space. We had some really good conversations with the transportation director and kind of understand the ballet that happens every morning and afternoon for the buses to get in and out of that spot. And so in this layout, what we propose is number 2 and 3 would be the transportation building. So it would be 3 days of maintenance, bus maintenance, and vehicle maintenance. Right now, there's 2 bays currently. Only really just one is being used, and then the secondary bay is being used for smaller engine repair and stuff like that. So we had discussions with those folks as well, and they said, boy, it would be nice to have a third bay, it would open up a lot. The nice thing about this layout is you can see the buses kind of parked on the back side of the property, and you can fence and protect those vehicles. The number 5 would also be the other district vehicles, all the Suburbans and those things. And then the nice thing is we can drive into the bays from either way, and have garage doors on both sides, and then pull through once the maintenance is done, right back into the bus parking area. The bus parking configuration also allows for pull through, so there's never a bus backing, there's no beeps for your neighbors next door. It's an in and out situation. And the number 1 massing is what we're calling the district warehouse and maintenance. So all of the items that currently come into the district go to the Robertson High School site. And there's a lot of disparate buildings that the district is utilizing there. This would all be under one metal building roof, and we would provide also, a potential area for other maintenance items as well as some of the bigger equipment that is used for grounds and everything. Right now, it's just at the high school site. And this would be taking it out of there, but not by, a lot. And what's really nice about this location too is it's adjacency to the freeway. It's right off of that. And there's just a lot of good advantages to that. Number 7, there would be a loading dock at the warehouse receiving. And again, instead of a lot of little buildings, there would be one big area for them. Number 6 is just a bubble showing staff parking area. Number 8 there is all the existing parking that we feel could be maintained for either overflow at those stadiums as needed, or if you do need more parking for these functions up at the maintenance and transportation building.
No, I think the key component is to keep those unions protected with all those developments, so that the access for drop-off, pickup, vehicular component for Los Niños is not affected by any of these improvements. That's why we are recommending. And both these ideas that we're showing are concept ideas. There can be many, many developed. These are just thoughts to help prepare for master plan conversations that the district might want to consider as and when these projects become a possibility for consideration. The opportunity begins with the new combo school. So it's like a domino effect that helps allowing for, these future considerations to be done in a right.
Just from
The long time living on it. You're going to keep the main building going in the classrooms. So you're going to see building further in for the 18 class over the 18. You have an idea like that?
So the nice thing about the layout is we are showing a rather large building in number 2, but quite honestly, a lot of the CTE components would fit within the envelope of the number 1 space. So the number 2 building would be more for construction, technology, and kind of the bigger, noisier components, whereas culinary arts, media programs, those can be baked into, if you will, the main campus. So there wouldn't be a lot of lot time, lot dedicated time, because those components will get built under the phase 1 high school.
Well, the game for our students are going to be working well being something.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, I know currently right now we have schools that are just unoccupied, but maybe we still have those schools that are unoccupied and can utilize those, that square footage.
Right, and part of the goal that we have for middle school is to create some, career technical, programs within that school itself also. So, you know, there could be that could be a potential scenario down the road that's, you know, and a lot of this, to be quite honest, is probably 4 years down the road, 3-4 years down the road, right? So I think there's various scenarios that we can take a look at.
Now, another question, are we gonna keep the screen parking next to the gym, or is there gonna be room on?
We can create more parking once the buildings become more consolidated. So the front would be mostly staff and visitors. On the first drop off area side, there could potentially be just again protected staff and vehicles. But where currently the entry into the transportation is, that could potentially be student parking. And then you have a direct access to the school from there.
Keeping it down to gym, still keeping there.
Correct. Yeah. So one thing that was a more futuristic consideration is what if the district administration complex, which we are in right now, could move over there? The opportunity to move transportation to a better facility gives the Robinson High School campus lots of options to consider. And clearly the district admin, where we are showing number 6 right now, has its own access from 3rd Street. But that could be where all the entry side is. And all that number 6 component could be reserved for student use, student parking, additional outdoor related components, recognizing that your main gym clearly generates a lot of traffic when you have games, either the basketball games or the football games. So it all came out of the conversation on that the transportation is just in the wrong location. Everything else will work itself around if we were to consider, district would consider doing.
Isn't it also true, I don't know if the will you answer this, but if the say they pay, if you do a campus, we get paid for, new gym. And if we keep Mike Mar Gym alone where it's at and we call that a secondary gym, and we can get PFSA to help pay for, new gym, which would be used for oxygen, and still keep Mike Mar as a primary gym.
That's my understanding.
But our gyms are crazy, say that only one gym is necessary for.
And I would refer that to Mr. Clark.
Yes, sir, so. One thing that a lot of districts do is they have like an athletic gymnasium component. And that the state would not participate in, you're correct. But as part of the new bill in number 1, there could be a gym associated with it for physical education. And then the district would let the state know that this larger gym is not district property, it's not associated necessarily with just the high school, it's utilized by many of the schools, which is true now. And so there's been success in other districts with that approach.
So we could potentially have a 2 gym on our high school campus.
Yes, sir.
That'd be great. Moving to the administration building over there, we're right there, I think that number is 6, I think, is, we're gonna be room to put in a gym there and the administration building in that area.
Yeah, and I think you're showing that green space up on the upper side. If the district is considering a second gym, I think it should be part of the number 1 building. And we probably look at putting it connected to the main building. So that it is all contiguous under 1 roof. And that's the direction we are taking with many projects we are doing. We are doing a combo school for Raton right now. And it is a pre-K through 12 consideration, but it's all under 1 roof. Again, the goal would be to not have too many separate buildings. in the future, maybe the CTE building is the only separate building, but if everything else can be under one roof, that would be much better. So this concept layout can be improved upon. This was, just the initial idea, and clearly we can improve upon the ideas that,
And also the new construction of the main building, that would also encompass our cafeteria as well.
Correct.
So we can move our cafeteria out of the gym.
exactly. I think right now your cafeteria is tiny. It is very tiny. You have very little space for calling it student commons. There is really not much. They either are mingled with the cafeteria portion or they don't have their own private space. And student commons is kind of becoming a very important consideration as kids learn more in a project-based learning model. And so there is group learning, there is interactive learning, there is the entire model has shifted. So in the new building, it would be highly recommended that the new cafeteria, along with the student commons and the new gym, provide those opportunities for physical education, but also for learning models.
Mr. President, first off, I apologize for stepping away during your presentation. But just, thank you for taking the time to create this vision for us, because I think that's one thing we can all of us can agree on is our facilities in Las Vegas City Schools are aged, and we have to start looking at the big picture in the future, right? And obviously, if we're looking at 4 years down the road, this conversation needs to start happening now, so we have to plan basically in the master plan. So just want to thank you guys for your work, which you want to help us start creating it. So thank you.
It's been very exciting. This is really fun work. It's a great kind of learning about the campus and the community in that respect. We really.
When doing this kind of work, do we get any kind of a sense of what the cost is going to be?
So our initial study right now is purely focused on supporting the district-wide master plan that is ongoing. I think Pauline Martinez and her group is putting that together. And so what we will do is provide her some of this information that she can roll into that and then develop appropriate cost models that are for the entire 5-year master plan. That's all in one document. So we hope that we're talking with her and we will help her provide that information so that you have that data handy.
Now, are you guys the architect for the middle school? Or you not?
No, we are not. No, we are not.
The building number one that you're seeing up on the screen right now, that is the building that is currently there, and that would encompass as well the arts, the values, the kind of permission for. I know they help out the value right now.
We went and visited the venue. It's a very successful program. I mean, I am so happy to see that you have music and art integrated into your application. Many schools are losing that art of learning. So the goal would be is that, one of the elements of the wing of the new facility would be a music component. Also visual arts, it would be a part of it. We haven't really seen much about performing arts. You do have an auxiliary gym that is part of your old building. It has, just some risers and stuff, but if there was a consideration for performing arts type component, we would have to look into that. One thing, the state does not support an auditorium. It would all be district cost if you wanted to include that. Now we can create the cafeteria in an arrangement that allows you to do performing arts component. So it becomes more multi-use type space that throughout the day would be, a cafeteria and student commons, but then in the evening, it becomes a performance status. Yeah, and you currently have an outdoor amphitheater, which we were fortunate enough to see was being kind of prepared for an event. Now, clearly, weather permitting, you can use it, but inclement weather, it becomes hard. So if we can create something under one roof, that would be ideal for the students.
Drama classes, we're doing their presentations in the band, the same there.
Good.
But our neighbors across here, they have a stage in their cafeteria.
Okay, yeah.
Also, currently right now, we're not sub 100, so, in order to get funding from PFSA, we have to be sub 100 on that list, correctly. This son over 116 or below.
We want 16.
116, so there's some schools that are currently getting some funding, so those are gonna drop off, so hopefully we can start sliding forward into that sub 100. How far can we go in this endeavor before we have to stop? Can we go, like Mr. Lamar stated, like getting costs and stuff before, how far can we go to get ready, so once we are sub 100, we can get going?
I think this level and participating with or sharing this information with business and planning with Colleen's company will give you that traction in your facility master plan to then, when you do go sub 100, you can apply for the funding through the PSFA Public School Capital Outlay Council funding at that time. And your facility master plan will clearly show that this is district priority, which is one of the things that they look at. And so we're happy to share this and continue that energy with Colleen for sure. And that will set you up for applying in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, because I know the city next right now is currently, retracting a lot of funding that certain entities in the state have not been using the funding. They've been stagnant for a couple of years. Now they're retracting that funding. And I wonder if we get shovel ready, they call it shovel ready in the state of New Mexico, where we could get shovel ready in the district and then push us up on the list to get the funding sooner.
I mean, that would be awesome. But you definitely want the state to participate in the design phase funding as well. It's a chunk of change. And that will free up district funding. The more you utilize the state side, that frees up your district funding for all the other things that you want to accomplish here in the district.
And Mr. Chair, further down the agenda, Mr. Ames from Steeple will be with us, and we'll talk a little bit about the GEO bond and some financial planning. Again, so we can talk about looking down the road and reserving funds, for things like an auditorium, for example, or different amenities that maybe the state doesn't keep that reserve for the, from those GEO funds potential levels down the road. So I'm hoping that this meeting is pretty informative with regards to what you guys may consider down the road.
Any other questions? Thank you both for attending.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, it's our pleasure, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll be following up with any improvements with Colleen and the groups so that you have a more refined package in your 5-year master plan.
Yeah. Thank you for your grace and timing as we walk in perfect time for this. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Before we go to the next item on the agenda, please set the record reflect that Mr. Gonzalez entered the meeting at 5:25. Next item on the agenda would be item and the X Global Solar and Lighting Project, rather than wood and build offer.
Mr. Chair, I think this is one offer. So the plan for Robertson and the Burdett campus, implement with kind of company that we would look at down the road or down the road. What these gentlemen will be presenting is something that's maybe a little bit more immediate with regards to supporting the district in energy conservation and saving up money. So, and again, what I want to give the board are various scenarios that you can consider. Moving forward, whether, you know, again, it's looking at the campus rebuild for Robertson High School. Or perhaps, keeping what we have and looking at cost saving. So these gentlemen here are with us tonight, and we're doing them the last couple of months or so. And their presentation will tell you about a little bit about what issues they believe we have in our districts.
Thank you. And really to the school board. I really appreciate that, and talking about ways to enhance the classroom environment as well as cutting cost of the district. We're a sort of specialist, just a little bit of background on how we came to be. We came through in 2019, and I've never come to the school and looking at the minor, wow, place to be the light. And then pandemic hit, and we got put on hold. And then I got an email. Are you still in the business? You still relighting projects? Yes, we do. So we came out, started getting a little sun. Gosh, this has been a good experience because she's been very, very helpful. And when you put projects like this together, there are certain things that you need. You need access point for where your meetings are at. You need utility bills. You need things to build together a good proposal. And because that cooperation, we think we've got lots of proposals together. So I joke about this is very good. We put the proposal together for the most part, so I'll turn it over to him because it's one thing of the.
Sure, thank you. A few of the changes that occurred in legislation since 2019 really changed the dynamics of this project. It made a lot of sense back in 2019. We were going after grant money. There were some great programs available for that. But since then, the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, which allows schools to recapture a lot of these investment tax credits and some very important financial pieces to talk about here in a little bit. Since the Inflation Reduction Act, another bill was passed, the big beautiful bill by President Trump and his administration, which created an endpoint for some of those energy conservation incentives. So we'll talk about in our discussion here today. We really have three big points that we'd like to improve the budget. One, we'd like to improve the learning environment for the students. If you look over our head right now, we have gold, T12 fluorescent lights. Those are throughout the school. We'll talk about the LED lights and how those improve the education experience for our students. Another point is that we're going after that investment tax credit. That gets paid as a cash payment directly back to the district. So that's not a tax break. That doesn't come to the contractor, that goes directly back to the district. And then we'll talk also about controlling the energy costs. So right now, the energy costs, I think, are up 60% from when we were here in 2019. So we're going to get that under control as well. So the next slide there, Denise. We just talked briefly about where the current situation is with the school. Right now, when we looked last, we're at 2.8 million in kilowatt hour usage for 2025, roughly $433,000 a year. That is because we're running T12, we're running metal halides, and other high consumption appliances right now. We would replace these with 9-watt LEDs. So going from 42 watts to 9 watts, just on these, 75% reduction. District-wide, we're looking at reducing 35 to 45% on the energy usage just by doing a lighting project. Right there, you can also see too that after all said and done, we're paying about 17 cents a kilowatt for the power. So this LED lighting,
The LED lighting retrofit was the city contract for the next one. This district wide, we modeled it, all the entire district. We got to the classroom, looked at the lights that are currently being used, and controls that are currently being used. We worked with the maintenance staff to estimate burn hours. And we think we can significantly reduce the lighting cost or the energy cost overall. On that next slide, go over the financial dynamics of the project. So, to replace the lights throughout the district, so it's going to be gymnasium lights, cafeteria lights, all the classroom lights, really lights throughout the district. Doors above the football field light. They receive a total lighting project cost of $546. We estimate annual energy savings of $188,000 a year. So right now, we're looking at $433,000 a year in total energy cost, cutting that by $188,000. That's one of the best simple paybacks we've seen in quite a while. We estimate good simple paybacks of 4 to 5 years. Simple payback on this after our energy and maintenance savings is 2.4 years. The reason the simple payback is so good is because we're running 4 or 5 generational lighting right now. It wouldn't be as good if we were running more updated lighting. You wouldn't be saving as much. But then we estimate, if you're wondering how we estimate maintenance costs of these, you're looking at usefulness. So with the LEDs that we install have 10-year estimated useful lives. Before that, we can 3 to 4 year useful lives and a lot of them don't have them. Let's phase 1. We propose that as phase 1 of the project. Because first, what makes us a little bit different than some other groups is we like the right side of the energy using lighting, solar, sometimes HVAC will just make sense. But we like the right side of the energy costs before we look at solar or other means of generating energy. The best bang for your buck savings are just getting the lighting under control. Phase 2 of the project is our photovoltaic installation. So I think the engineers stepped out that we're proposing some of the building modifications. What we try to do with the solar arrays in coordination with Melissa and the feedback from Melissa is offset as much power as we can intelligently. There are some meters in some locations that it just doesn't make sense to offset. But in offset the power intelligently so that and maintain optionality for the district if you go and do some build configuration. One of our concerns one of our main goals was not to lock you into something or make a proposal that would need to be torn down in a few years. On the next slide, you'll start seeing some of the floor sites. Oh, yeah. With that solar, with the lighting of the solar, now it's roughly a 90% reduction in current energy costs and kilowatt hour usage.
90% if we were to do lighting and solar?
Yes.
Both.
So we looked at 4 different sites for the solar proposal for the solar arrays. One over at Los Niños. Los Niños, right now, the way we have the array set, it would be a 100% offset of Los Niños and Sierra Vista. So we can trench and deliver power to Sierra Vista. We know that there's a possibility that Sierra Vista may no longer be there, but these buildings may take that place. We can always reduce the size on that Los Niños array, but we just wanted to demonstrate that we can offset completely both schools with just by using the roof on Los Niños. The rocket pad ground array is the largest array. That's a 0.5 megawatt array. So that would power
the high school, the middle school, margin, a number of the other meters that we have running through those schools. We do that. The Google view right there doesn't, it shows the building is still, there. The building obviously is no longer there. That would be a ground installation.
Most on the last presentation, that area right there was designated as a playfield. So we haven't had a chance to coordinate without me just yet. But there's a lot of consideration. Next door is a community facility, solar community, which means that you can generate power in one location and have it distributed by the whole district. So even though we've designated these other sites as a potential split off for the solar proposal, you can get every bit of the solar on that particular field and distribute power to the rest of the district. And that's a pretty big deal. We're not getting too excited about that, just to tell you confirm that we can have to allow us to do that.
Because currently like the co-ops, right now, you can backfeed meters and you can get the savings in other locations. So you're saying that Canaan, Canaan has that also? They do? Yeah, well, there needs to be capacity approvals and line approvals, but yes. So we could have a large array of the Golden Moore Middle School site, and that could be enough savings to do the entire district. Put it on any roads or anything else.
Yeah, that's why we're kind of isolated, because this is worst case. We have to put on rooftops and these different properties put it up, but immediately we can put it in one location and disperse the energy in much better.
Do you know what the solar rate would be, based on the consumption that we use in the district right now?
Next slide.
It would be roughly a 900 kilowatt project. Offset the whole district, might material included. On the next, go to the next slide, we have a few more roof mounts. So one area is a really development center. We also have the administration building there. Again, these are not final. We can always adjust. But the scale is roughly the same. Whether we put it up to one big ground house, roughly 1 megawatt, 100 kilowatts, or if we install it in various locations. Our understanding is these locations are not what we're saying. So right now, the total project cost is right at 2.7 million. Annual energy savings, again, so this is that. If we already saved 188,000 on lighting, now we're cutting 220 more with the solar, getting us down to that 90% off of our 433,000. This, by those things, we have a 12.3 year simple payback, the savings paid out off in 4.3 years, for $5.9 million over the 20-year utility study that we conducted.
There is one important point here too, though. If you buy the plan, 2-year payback, the 2.7, if you buy it to, what's that asked us to look for financing alternatives if you want to finance the project. If you can squeeze it within a 10-year payback, it's much easier to get out of the finance. So if you combine those two projects together, we're well 10-year payback. They finance it really easy. So they're $433,000. And pays for itself within 10 years. You want to increase your budget like that. Be able to put the electric project in, the solar project in, pay no more than you're currently paying. 10-year project. That was our goal. I mean, we stress this thing 100 times, saying, you know what? Don't strive the district with any long-term there. Squeeze it within a 10-year term. You're much better off. We did that. Yeah, we had to look at the worst case. If we had to go ahead and use municipal financing, and I think we're trying to accomplish here is what next slides here is that investment tax credit. That's what's going to make a difference in this project, because that comes through, I think, back to the district. So what we said is don't take that investment tax credit And don't buy them, I'll say, put that in the bank, just put that money in the bank, and let a 10-year contract pay for the project.
This is something we're gonna be funding this sample for a good one. So we're not gonna get actual financing we for the bond. But we'll talk about that here, sorry, it's next year. So that's perfect, so that's perfect. If you wanna skip to the financing options slide, we put together 4 financing options. Mr. Quintana, I think, you're talking about option 2, locate funding from the GO bond. So all of those first 3 options that we've outlined there, you would receive the investment tax credit for. The 4th option is the lease purchase agreement. That's where you would not own a solar array and you would not receive the investment tax credit. Just to put it in perspective, the investment tax credit goes from 30 all the way up to 50 to 60% of the system. So those first 3 options, you would receive that investment tax credit. With a municipal equipment lease, you can get long-term 7 to 15 years and fund 100% of it. Our recommended route is the GO bond because within 1 year, you recognize a 40+% return on what you invested with the GO bond. And every year thereafter, because the system will be paid for, you'd be able to capture that $433,000 in energy costs that are rising every year, which I can go back to. Of course, you could go to the NMFA and receive project financing there, low interest rates for the slower approval process. And again, with that 4th option, that's the lease purchase agreement. You would own the system, but you would capture a long-term stabilized energy rate. And a lot of schools do that, but we would recommend option number 2 for financing so that we can receive that investment tax credit. The next slide, we look at the total project and costs and what we receive back to the school. So the total lighting cost of $546, $546, 2.7 on the solar cost for a total project cost of 3.2 right now. PNM is paying 8 cents a kilowatt hour. So on the lighting project alone, we would recapture $100,000. The federal investment tax credits, which are paying back to the district, at least $1,080,000 right now. Immediately in 2026, as soon as the installation goes, gets connected, you begin seeing month-one savings. We estimate 2026 utility and maintenance savings at $387,000. For the whole job, just like Joe mentioned, that's an 8.4-year simple payback. And we have gone pretty conservative in escalators. I think for this, in our estimates, we've been estimating a 2% escalation cost per year. But since 2019, it's been much higher than that. So,
But there's a key here, on the, if you use the GO bond, take the project, what happens to the 450,000 dollars that you're currently paying for utilities? That will suddenly that gives you a positive cash flow in the budget, nearly $450,000. And it puts $1,080,000 in your treasury. And so it's not this little window, and I thought, well, I better get this out because a lot of people don't understand what's going on in that district tax credit. And a lot of districts are starting. I mean, they're living hand about. And when I look at it, we try to be as conservative as we can, because we said, well, where does that $1,080,000 come from? It comes from 40%. There's a potential of 60% that you can get back of the total project cost. 60% return. That's very little. USDA, we're trying to get back to 2018. So it's this is cash money. It's not grant. It's offset the cost. It's putting that 150 back in the budget as well as putting that $1,080,000 back in the period. Pretty good deal.
So we mentioned it earlier too, that came about because of the Inflation Reduction, and the big beautiful bill, legislation sunsets the federal revenue tax credit. So that if the project isn't started by July 4th of 2026, then you'll no longer be eligible after that point. So what we're trying to do is give you all the information you can ahead of that time, so that you can make a decision before.
Does it have to just be approved, or does it have to be started for July?
In order to qualify, 5% of the project has to be safe harbor, so like 5% of that has to be materials have to be ordered.
Is this something that you guys are doing now? You guys subcontract that with the contractor?
Yeah, we work with subcontractors and feasibility, third party feasibility, reporters, and in order for you to get the investment tax credit, we work with a group that will specialize.
We want to have a third party do our environmental sports, because if you go there, you can't be wrong. So we hired a third party engineer to do the calculations for it, but you ever. In terms of contractors, we're licensed here in the state of New Mexico, so we use different subcontractors to do what going on. So we've got projects in Arizona and New Mexico, like I say, you're up to 2019, but I'm doing this really glad that we really try to do that project, because this is a much better opportunity.
It's a huge savings position. The only thing I'd be left to come, just my opinion, is that we're looking, or the board is looking at focusing on trying to redo a lot of our facilities. So it's hard to spend, taxpayers' money on buildings that we're possibly going to be demolishing. So maybe it would not be the solar first related to this stuff over before the meeting started. I was more in favor of doing the lighting rather than solar, but it seems like the solar would be better than the lighting at this point, just for the fact that we're looking at possibly redoing a lot of other additions.
You know, I said this thing, I looked at it, especially beyond the some buildings, take the statements, for example, let's hear listed next to it. When we look at that project, it says, could we generate 1 hour and company was females to cover whatever is out in the facility? And you may be able to produce for a short period of time from maintenance buildings built up there. But again, look at the opportunity you have if you're able to do the community solar facility in one location. I'm talking about Mac Potato. Be able to, that's a co-op there, and to be honest with you, you're going to leave that out of the equation until we looked at the community facilities option. You could actually offset that during the time when you're building your buildings, and then take that away again because it's on a co-op, and the co-op gives you great rates. I mean, they're half as much as PNM. So I thought, because you have a community solar facility, you can build that. Disperse that energy where you need that, while you're building buildings, and lock in the buildings you're using the most energy.
And from a lighting perspective, we also considered that as well. But you can make a decision where you can say, well, maybe we pull the lighting project from the schools that are going to be coming down. But we kept it in because the simple payback is so strong. If you don't take those buildings down within 3 years, they're paid for it. And you improve the learning environment along the way, and everybody was happier, and no headaches and flickering lights and issues going on along the way. Or we could just do the lighting in the locations that we need to identify that are staying, and do the solar along with it. Do it off that. Instead of 90%, maybe we're doing 70%. We can model that later. But we kept it in there.
When I told Jim that we heard that they really got aggressive in coming up with battery backup solar Tesla's making up, people putting in these big 1 megawatt battery backups. Well, I've been around a lot of the school districts in the area, and people have been coming in and supporting with backup generators because the grids have been going down. Look what could happen in the future if we put a solar system in. facilities where you put solar in, you put a battery, solar generator. So your first, draw will be off your solar, the second will be off your battery, the third will be off ENN. Solar generator. So it makes a lot of sense, but we wrestled with this thing for a few months now. But I'm gonna quit. Keep working, get the way about it, that's what I was thinking.
And maybe battery becomes phase 3 of the project. Because battery incentives, the tax credits are not. They don't, for some reason, they made it true, and they will continue on like they were, and then inflation reduction.
Which means that you can still get 50% of the total cost of the battery back in cash. You can, down in tier C, there was one, we have a parking lot there that's covered, we got all over on it, but would that be something that would be big enough down in the gym parking lot? If you did that, we originally put that in the proposal. But with all the construction and everything going on around there, the footprint that we have on Mark's gym, yeah, it wasn't, it was like maybe postage stamp sitting out there. Because there's 600 kW and we put that on the field. Shrunk it down, they covered just become the bonds and perhaps Robinson. The footprint's very small, but it nice for a few select people, but you gotta get a partner that we can park. I think you might have a fire, or who's started as a partner than a but anyway, it's made more sense cost wise to move it back to the field.
And that's what I was going to say too, is it did increase the cost pretty dramatically on a per lot basis, because there's just a lot more steel that and a different supplemental structure that you're installing. So if that's the way the district wanted to go, what we wanted to do is provide the shortest and we can get out. The best bang for the buck that we would recommend. If we wanted to do
How are you guys in the gym right now? Are we not fishing anymore?
no, actually, we looked at those, in some of the gyms, there are already maybe like a ground. So we've identified the one that are not of these. So really, it's like, it's probably a 90% replacement or retrofit rate across all the schools, because some of the lights have already been replaced with LEDs. Or if there's wrong color we are, getting making things.
That is interior and exterior, correct?
Correct.
I guess, Robert's price per ton is sub 100 is what we mentioned earlier, so it might be 6, 7, 8 years before. So I guess it'd be beneficial for us to do it, being that it's back 100 years.
And the reason I gave the gentleman, the Paul Henry site as a potential option for the array was because, you know, if you're seeing that the plan that Ryan and Sanjay gave us earlier, that area is, you know, that area could be taken a little bit. So, you know, we were looking at maximizing, that was one considering.
I know we don't have the layout footprint as to the new project, the new school that we're gonna be building at the old normal school site, but there's a large area there that we own. Acres.
It's 35 acres.
There's 35 acres there. We're actually going to use some of that for obviously for the school footprint. But couldn't we do a large solar array just in one isolated area for the entire district? We might have to mess with campuses everywhere else and they have to save costs by having it one.
Yes. Are you parking? Yeah, whenever you, that's a great consideration. So our next step is to give them and nail it down. So, you know, this is a big decision for the school district or heading school, put them down. We need to go. And we build a common facility so it can first energy through the whole district. And it looks like you got several sites. If they give us a go, that's gonna make a cost difference, it's gonna make an efficiency difference. I mean, there's so many things you can do with educating up there. So, with these money, we bought LED lighting, we installed my house versus you installed. You bought. Here's a pretty big issue, there's a difference between tier 1 and tier 2 lights. You go down to Home Depot, for example, and buy them, it's not maybe less than 5 years. We not only do we give you tier one that are meant for the long life LED lighting, but we, give you, what do I call headaches, so if the lamp burns out, you're gonna have some to replace it with. And we come by after the first 3 months, there may be some manufacturing defects, we replace all those lights. That if they burn out in 3 months, they're probably not gonna burn them. So not only do we do all of it, you know, it's a really headache spot, in case it does.
We've seen schools do that, we usually have to come back, it's not nearly as consistent. As when we can create orders, we're familiar with all the materials, and it makes their job, the maintenance job, and we provide that, I thought that much easier done.
When you walk into a school, you make these people run over, they're looking for Ranger, people, and you got yellow and blue and white. And so, walk your distance.
I'll give you a first out to do your limited. It's gonna be a good job.
Thank you for letting us take the time. Oh, I go to the time.
Yeah, we have a rough implementation, timeline. For November now, we completed our initial audits and project proposals and implementation to the standalone. We're meeting with you now, hopefully in December, we can finalize our number of figures and maybe with the feedback that we put tonight and then send it all. We'll have something concrete to present to you in December. If all goes well in December, we can complete the lighting project by end of January. In February, we have all the solar components ordered. That also will be a consideration. The solar modules and the inverter may have long lead times. So we'd like to get those orders as soon as we can. February is what I have outlined here. And we begin those feasibility and interconnection studies. March, we'd like to complete the solar install and begin power generation. In August, it takes a few months. That's our target for you to receive the investment tax credit and rebates back from you. Right, Denise, if you want to skip to the next slide, I can probably go through this pretty quickly. So we're very familiar with working with school districts. We're approved with interlocal purchasing system, or PDF. We're very familiar with state contracts and municipal state contracts. Obviously, we've done a number of these projects. We can go to the next slide here. Just an outline of some of the projects that we completed. Yeah, very familiar with the district process. We go on to the next slide. We appreciate the time that you guys have given us today. Again, Ms. Devil, thank you so much for listening forward and providing us what we need to give you something firm.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it. You guys will go back to the board or answer somebody.
Yeah, the next step would be, we help write the resolution. So it's a pretty simple process. Is if you decide to do a project, it would authorize Melissa to be able to execute the contract. So we can give her the nod the time we want it to execute basically you pass the resolution, it gives you authorization to sign contracts. Pretty easy process. We'll be back next month.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is full business. Item A is HRP water from the sixth application. Ms. Martins.
Regarding regarding the article, the last meeting I have for you for apologize, but I did have them. And also as a reminder that again, this work is already covered, so the ratification. So also, I'll start with the award for cultivating speech therapy. So we If you go down, you see what we are, paying them currently. The total purchase order amount is estimated, I should have put like, estimated at 121,000. But virtual services, which she's providing now, the dates are there. They are $90 an hour, in person, $104 an hour. Virtual services are provided at 15 hours weekly. So that we can figure that total number to get a better estimate, but it will be less than 102. In person, she is full-time, she works 4 days a week. She is, those are the dates she'll be here in person working at $108.
Last one, we referred them, I think we're gonna have a meeting, we'll send kids down from the.
We do.
Things on that meeting, that one EA is great, another. I think I already talked about that, can you guarantee we're gonna have an EA to sit them down and. Guarantee that not just a parent of these kids, they're gonna get the
I can guarantee that for sure. Absolutely. In fact, I'm in constant communication with our teacher. A huge advocate for the students as well. So I am working with her to make sure that those services are.
Not for the speech of the but we have a PA to sit them down in front of that computer, and make sure that they do.
We have the capacity, even if I have to sit with them. It'll happen.
And then maybe for the next board meeting, if you can give us a presentation on building, if everyone has those buildings, if everyone is behind. How much is the everyone is
Absolutely. I'm pretty regularly, even meeting with them individually to ensure that they need help, or, we can provide this support. We also just recently, this is off the current subject, but we hired a full social worker who is online and full social worker. We can support us with that. So the other award, if there's no questions on this, the other award is for Lisa Variable Speech Therapy. And she is charging us $82 an hour out of the total purchase amount of $103. She also works 4 days a week and she lives in Las Vegas. So there's the cost is less.
Finance Secretary, which your recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we recommend ratification of the two contracts.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we ratify the speech RFP award letters.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Romero, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Next item on the agenda is academic eligibility policy for review. Madam Superintendent.
Once again, is the academic eligibility policy. I do want to know that we did put it in that first reading, as I felt the last one was more of a discussion. We did meet with our administrative team, district directors, Ms. Peña sat in and gave us some recommendations, and it was reviewed by our coordinator. And the proposal that I have for you guys tonight is I would recommend to be inserted as part of our policy, indicating that there is a process, and again, for students that will follow in eligibility over the course of the semester. It does not restrict students for the entire semester, of course, unless they are failing all of the courses. So we would keep NBA requirements, but when students fall below the 60% threshold in any classroom, they would be required to follow this particular policy, and that would be to create an academic plan with the teacher. And as soon as that student would bring up their grades, then they would be eligible to practice chemical. So this, I believe, identifies the conditions, the consequence, and then the path to eligibility.
So, at any given time, if they're under the 2.0, regardless if they have debts or,
What it does is it would follow the district policy with regards to grades and progress reports. So when we send out progress reports, if we quarterly, then at that point, we would pull in eligibility, that's what we do now at the semester. And Mr. Gonzalez and his would communicate to coaches and students with regards to who is ineligible. And again, this is not only for athletes, but it is for any student who will be in the co-curricular athlete as well.
yes, but does it still, because you can have an A and an F, they'll offset each other to make it a C, so are we still allowed to get the F to be part of it? Not clear at all. And are we doing anything, so, an athlete, student athlete is ineligible, are we giving them any pathway to, any kind of tutoring or anything that?
I understand. It was just this, the very, the documents is under academic support, as that students would be encouraged to meet with their teachers. And the students would be required to attend after school tutoring, and it's like, programs. So we do have after school programs, K-12, so that would be requirements that either coach or a coordinator, principal, teacher, and again, it can be something that can short-term. It can be until students meet the requirements of becoming eligible.
As long as we give them an opportunity to tell them every student athlete has the opportunity to get out at home. So as long as we're not just telling them they can't participate in sport, but we send it home, and it's not an advantage, or it's not helping them to become eligible. So as long as we're giving them pathways to, and we're giving them that opportunity.
And that's how we bring it in. Our secondary has probably the least amount of students in after school programming. And again, the purpose is to mitigate failures of the 90 period of the semester. So, this would be an avenue to support them over the course of the year versus, failing them at the semester.
Or to have very on. When the school to affect.
Well, because this is first reading, we can about this,
That's returning to the issue.
my recommendation is to approve the first reading for this policy.
Oh, motion by Mr. Romero, do I have a second? A second is Dr. Missouri, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is new business, item A, consider resolution authorizing partial verification and compliance of the district series 2014 and 2022 bond people and under the levy.
This is a mouthful. So these gentlemen are with us, virtually. So I need one to let these gentlemen speak to the word. Redemption and debt.
Good evening, Brad Angst here, joined by Art Melendres, your Can you all hear us?
Brad, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me? Great. Brad Angst with Stifel Public Finance. Represent the school district as your municipal advisor. I'm joined by Art Melendres here with the Muldrow Law Firm, serves as the district's bond counsel. We have an item for you for consideration this evening, what's called a bond defeasance, which is basically it's an early debt payment. And we need to do this because of managing your mill levy. When you had this excess cash in the debt service fund, the PED requires you either to lower your mill levy or use the cash to pay off debt early. And so that's what we're doing through this defeasance. We're recommending approximately $870,000 in your bond payments be paid early. And by doing that, it provides savings of $79,900. So let me pause there. I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Melendez to just talk about some of the documents that are in front of you real quick.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. Art Melendres here. The documents you have before you are a resolution actually authorizing what Mr. Angst has said, which is to pay off your Series 2014 bonds, two maturities, 2027 and 2028, and your Series 2018 bonds, 2031 and 2032 early. This will, in essence, take excess cash that you have in your debt service fund and make it possible to pay off these bonds early, thereby saving interest over time. And the document is pretty lengthy, but it is in accordance with New Mexico law. And it also provides an escrow agreement because we can't call the 2018 bonds until a couple years from now. So we are going to put the money you have in escrow, hold it there with Bank of Albuquerque, and make payments until we can call those bonds. But with that, I stand for questions. Let me just say, I hope you can hear me. I can hear Brad very well, but the reception I'm getting from the board members is choppy. So if there are more questions, I might have to rely on Brad to repeat the question or the superintendent. My apologies on that technology glitch. But any questions, I'll try to answer them.
So then we have no questions. So with that, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of the defeasance to pay off the Series 2014 and 2018 bonds.
Upon the recommendation, I make a motion that we approve. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item B, general obligation, go bond, financial planning.
Mr. Chair, I did ask, Mr. Angst, to be here with us this evening, to talk a little bit about, the general obligation bond, that we, were fortunate to get passed. So I want to thank the public for that. But we need to talk about the financial planning for this particular bond and previous bonds that we have. And Mr. Angst to talk a little bit about some scenarios of what we can do with these funds. So Mr. Angst.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Superintendent, members of the board.
Congratulations. 1 second. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent. Members of the board, first off, congratulations on your successful election. Really good showing from your public and a sign of how much they believe in what you're doing there. So congratulations on that. As Superintendent Sandoval started to describe, there are now, you have your bond authorization, which was for the $12 million. You had some previous bonds as well with some unspent proceeds. And then we've got several different projects. And so we've been discussing with the superintendent on which funds to use where and in what order. And so there's a couple of things here we wanted to discuss. So of course, you've got an application in with the PSFA for the Sierra Vista Combo School. And so when you work with the PSFA, they like to or they need to focus on one project at a time. So we know you have the Robertson High School also is a big need. However, and it's going to require some PSFA collaboration and funding from the state. And so they want to work on one project at a time, and they are expecting the school district to use the recent GO bond authorization towards that Sierra Vista Combo School for your local portion on that. And so we do see that you need to get through this project and through the award phase with Sierra Vista before we can approach them and start working on the Robertson type application here in the coming year or two. The second layer to this, or third, that we wanted to bring up are some of the funds that you have access to from your prior bond issuances that you've done over the last few years. All those funds haven't been spent down just yet, but they were originally issued for different projects than the Sierra Vista, and they need to be used here in the next year or two. More specifically, we need the board and staff to designate what you're going to use those funds for here this year, this budget cycle, and it should be used most likely for other projects other than Sierra Vista and those two schools. And while Robertson needs to stay open for a little while longer, the more you invest in that, unfortunately, your ranking gets worse as far as how much the state is willing to help you out with that. So there's a few things here just to summarize what we've recommended to superintendent. First off, it's that you identify some projects outside of Sierra Vista and Robertson to use your unspent bond proceeds on from the last few bond proceeds or bond issues. You need to allocate most likely the 12 million from the GO election towards the Sierra Vista combo school. And then we're looking at down the road in the next 2-3 years time, making sure we leave you space in your debt portfolio so that you can go to an election in the future and ask your voters if they want to pursue that Robertson High School renovations or rebuild. So we're leaving some space for that. But with that, happy to answer any questions. It's a little bit tough for me to hear as well, but I'm hearing you pretty well, Superintendent Sandoval.
Any questions? No?
This have do you have a list of projects that you already have in mind as far as priorities that we remind you that previous month?
Well, the lighting is a huge need in our district. That's something that we have kind of pursued over this last school year. There are some projects I believe that we can do that would protect a lot of our campuses. So there have been requests for my detail to have security fence that has come up both in our school insurance authority reports as well as our PSFA reporting. The paving in some of our schools need to be done, and we just heard I think would be a great investment for the lighting and solar projects that would benefit the district. So those would be my priorities regards to that. We've talked to our staff with regards to capital needs. Some of them are smaller in nature, and I'll talk a little bit in my report regards to what I'm looking at, but those would be probably the bigger expenses that we would incur.
So is that a list of something that you present for us to everything with
you were anticipating, so we can actually physically see it.
Yes.
And then that's something that we're not gonna be, but just like you mentioned, we gotta be careful about improving anything about high school campus, and it just increases some of this, the city.
Exactly, so, you know, those have been some of the conversations that, Mr. Archibald and I had is, you know, we cannot not, deal with those issues. But, you know, we do have to maybe limp along and band-aid, you know, we're maybe major work to Robertson. And to keep it, you know, of course, still conducive for learning and be in a safe environment, but not necessarily, quite a bit of money. So again, further enhancing paving in some of the areas. They do know that the football field has, the lights, some of the bulbs are out, so we gotten a quote for that, and that was gratifying. So you think you could put money into multiple projects and improve everything but Robertson, well, you know, with any type of major renovation. It's not by the end, correct, it's not by the end of this year.
Exactly.
We have to designate. Am I correct?
Were you asking about when you have to have the funds designated by?
Yes.
Yes, we'd like to have that done here by the end of this fiscal year. And then a lot of the funds need to be, you know, out the door by the end of next year.
One of the projects that we look at seriously is our water, the safety of the water, we're getting the city, more county looking at that also water. We've got Michael Kill, we've got over in town, maybe something what we can do. From our understanding, the basic operation, we're gonna cut. We really look at what we're gonna do for water.
Yeah, I know they mentioned, reverse osmosis might be the only avenue, they don't, they're not even covered that will work. So, I know they're already talking, possibly to start trucking in water again, so I know you might want to reach out to the mayor and see where our source is here, and it looks like Mr. Moore says, oh, well, so,
And we've been working with Mr. Adams, so for the Mike well. So, you know, that might be monthly, right? So we're still within the same limits, but definitely a priority. We have conversation. We have a meeting scheduled with EMA and Mr. Lucero with regards to that. So I'll keep you guys apprised of what comes from those meetings.
yeah, I just something that you could add on to that, is just to make sure that we have somebody in reserve for that, just to do something that's for everything.
Thanks. Other than that, the general discussion.
Any other questions? No questions, thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Good night.
Next item on the agenda is item C, 2025 HB 450 fund distribution acceptance, $115,095 to assemble.
So Mr. Chair, members of the board, so we received a contribution for and working again with the together and my staff with regards to what the potential would be funds for. And specifically earmarked for school security improvements, career technical education, or the maintenance of their school buildings. So in your packets, I did put a list of priorities for our funds. So what we have included is access control, and that would be to put in 2 automated gates at Robertson High School, in particular by the football field, the one on Second Street, Second Street, and then the one in Third Street. So we want to make those automated. Again, talking about exterior lighting at Robertson High School, in particularly Martin. I just wanted to remind you all that $50,000 that was appropriated to us by actually by Representative Vargas. So that can support some of the projects. Also, a huge need based off of conversations with our facilities and custodial staff is replacements of sinks, toilets, urinals, bathroom partitions at Mike Mateo, Robertson High School, Orchard, replacement of end of life and activated heating units, replacement of restrap at Mike Mateo. And we recently met with first responders, and there was a recommendation for Knox boxes to be placed in all the schools throughout all the campuses. And I don't think we would have enough money for the replacements of the sports lighting at the Vertical Stadium, but we did include that as an option. So, with that, I am recommending that you all approve this so we can get that signed into PSFA.
Any questions? On that recommendation? Upon that recommendation, what's your recommendation to approve? I have a motion by Ms. Dr. Nader. Or, do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. Vote aye. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item E, 4-day week calendar option assemble.
Which one?
Item E, 2025-26 open meeting assemble.
Mr. Chair, members, I apologize if I missed the open meetings resolution that should have been approved in August. So we are bringing it for the board today for approval. Nothing has really changed. The meeting times, dates, everything is similar. I do have a recommendation to consider maybe next year with regards to this, or maybe in January I want to consider would be that maybe board meetings be held at some of the school sites, so the school can highlight some of their work and what they're doing, maybe every other month or every 3 months, just to see what is happening, and principals can highlight what's going on in their school. The language, the way the resolution is written, doesn't necessarily have to be where specific. So that's not listed on there, but again, something for your consideration now. So with that, I recommend the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
We send them all, when you're spending your hour on the board, you do that, the whole time, you're not something, you're not to, people just, and talk around now, but what are they trying to find, that maybe meeting someone? Because there's anything we're out there, like you want to remember, we're out there. Yeah, I would go to that, I think it's a good idea, so we do that.
Madam Secretary, your recommendations approved. So, upon that, I have a motion by Mr. Romero, do I have a second? A second by Dr. Reserve, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item E, 4-day week calendar option, assemble.
This is another discussion item. Currently, the PED is happy allowance for a 4-day calendar that have been posted out to districts in the past. Now with the lawsuits that we have against PED for the 4-day calendars, that it has opened up for all districts to get to consider a 4-day school week. This could be another leverage for the district to increase students' enrollments for 4-day calendar. For we don't believe Western States has that, that would be an option. It's another cost savings measure. If you're looking at closing all schools or departments, of course, and making that a 4-day work week. And that can be done operationally lowering thermostats for the weekends, lighting, all that kind of thing, so. I did attach a survey that, Ms. Garcia and I had worked on. That was late April, May at the time. It's something that the board would wish to consider, we can push this out now. Garcia is going to be putting our calendar committee together. And we can, ask our school community, our staff, that they would be interested in. See where we go, we can propose and offer the board, we're hoping in February or March. A 4-day calendar option, 5-day calendar option, see which direction you guys would like to go.
So, can we push that date out instead of December 30th, to December 30th? Or give people more time to get it?
Yeah, this is just what I just did that, but yeah. So if that's something that you guys are interested in. We can vote about it.
Yes.
This school year or next school? No, it would be for next school year. And what it does is it requires us to recalculate our instructional schedules, our staff calendars. We would create a budget for a 4-day calendar, so that would have to be begin planning really in March, for us to have something that is tangible for the district to review. So, but
Have you talked to your immediate supervisor to see what they're taking on?
we have not, we wanted to bring this to you all first. And then we'll get everybody's feedback.
Mr. President, also, I'd like to share that, during the board conferences, you see a lot of 4-day school districts fighting very adamantly against. There's a lot of benefits for the school week. And thank you for being there so too, so it's put it in front of our community. I know there's obviously challenges, childcare might be one, but people know government providing childcare, it's one of the issues. And I definitely work putting it out to explore this.
And we get a good feel for this, what we can do is, we can come up with different scenarios to work on Fridays, that's even, dual credit. For students, we can partner with Luna guidance to offer courses on Fridays. It's coming from a 4-day district, it's a huge benefit, it reduces absenteeism for students that we be done. Monday or Friday, calendar would be developed. Like I said, operation, you're reducing costs and electricity and transportation. Something to consider.
If the consensus is to proceed. Okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Consensus is to proceed to letter the survey out.
Yeah, go for it. Agree with you.
Okay. So. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, I would add annual certification of capital asset for school maturity for the year end, June 30, 2025. This is also.
The year-end inventory was completed by Records Consultants Incorporated, or RCI, for reference, the same vendor that we did in the last year. The list of capital assets totaling $5,845,799.93 has been provided to the board for. So, Mr. Chairman, the board, I recommend approval of the capital asset disposal inventory for that school year.
Mr. President, recommendation, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the capital asset physical inventory for the year end of June 2020.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, do I have a second? The second, by Dr. Madrid, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. There's, thank you. Next item on the agenda is student report.
For my November student record report, members among my students idea of being able this month, the elementary level, I decided to focus more on what students are available rather than moving to loss. I was unable to make use of the due to last minute student reports. Along with the mentioned listed, there are more ways to be given. Lastly, there is a to overload schools. I feel today I was making public students, and they were making for teachers who love them and are happy to teach. We're making for recess, books, doing the pledge of allegiance every day, my community. Some improvements that have been done by proposal are say updating the location of their equipment and their routes to active snacks. Urgent needs and notices that happen to is to pay over the people, just because they're average from and like their safety reasons or emergency services can't get there as fast. And also allows for office and teacher communication. This meeting, I wasn't able to meet with them, so I'm not having any information yet. As for Lisa, I also did the baking parts of the and I got a very quiet group this time, so I didn't get too much information. But they were excited and making for activities, incentive trips, which are really great. In classrooms, they have explanation videos for teaching, and then they have this thing called Wednesday workshop with their classes. It's a time to finish any work that they weren't able to complete. Memorial Middle School's current events and updates I have is they had a successful Halloween dance. Student of the month has been selected, and both the boys and girls wrestling teams placed top 3 at winter. Upcoming events they have is a food drive to Portland, the last item in the room for so I'm not. They also have a fall dance scheduled for November 25th. An improvement and an addition that they had is their home ec was finally finalized and it's ready for usage. At Arlington High School, a major thing that students are thankful for vending machines, college scholarship opportunities, and sports. Current events going on. Trainings are currently doing the double good popcorn fundraiser, and we're in the midst. I know which are formal. Some improvements that have occurred is we're getting more breakfast now, and then it's being handled out rather than us going and a scrum of students fighting over /. And overall, for all our schools, heaters have been a big issue. They're finally been turned on, but now it's too hot, and we're all begging for the windows to feel it. And then at Robinson, and we see that we saw some lights were spotted, so some were not as this were to alleviate that. And that is.
Thank you. Any questions? On the agenda is superintendent report.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, on my report, I do want to highlight a couple of things, and then I do have my operations to here with us tonight. For areas in their reports that may potentially have some questions. My report, I didn't issue 2017. That generated a little over $1.6 million for the districts. A little over $1 million to repair or to, I guess that would be official what the terminology would be, but to work on the Art Gym roof, adding lights at Art Gym skylights, replace the concession stands and field house roofs, and there was some minor work at like Taylor Elementary. So with that, what has been sitting in some of the districts outside of the district is a little over $500,000, $1 million. That I was with Mr. Stefan Vegas last year. And I did ask him if those funds would be utilized for something different because all of our groups and knowledge are inadequate standing. So if work with NIMSIA, his bosses, and they have authorized the district to use $507,000 to get use. So with this, Ms. Vanessa Gonzalez and Mr. Rodriguez, and my name was Mr. Stefan Reyes. So what we will be doing is utilizing these funds, first and foremost, we're gonna be doing an assessment on our roofs. Just to make sure that we don't have any outstanding needs. But what we will be doing is utilizing these funds to something for example, the elevators. That, you know, we got $100,000 to repair one, but we need to pay $100,000 for the other. We have issues with here in this particular building, in order to have the elevator functional, we need to use some of these funds to support the fire. Something that we need to do. So instead of tapping into our SB9 funds and our geo bar, I want to use these $500,000 to support any emergency work and repairs that we have until we draw this down. So it's like we can have a positive that, you know, we can tap in and utilize and improve.
There are times on the.
No. But we want to use it before it goes away. Even if they would.
Sure, we have some of our ones in place, right?
Yes.
Yeah, most of them all, and it's hard to get, because I don't want to, just reserve this year, we had all that, you know, down there, we got all that. We don't want to go long there. And then, I'm put down, I think so, but we don't have to be this one. Their director is, better, would like to put on the next month's agenda, because she's got to get up there.
Okay. And I did speak to their legal people. They still are interested in purchasing, Legion. You know, and I have on mine is, you know, I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to get the paperwork, their small. You know,
What we do here, we told them, I hope I can share it. Get up the notice, wants to buy their building in Fellow Street. That's $800, so that money that they get for that purchase, we can now just keep. We get them on. If that was the whole of the experience, federal money.
When is our obligation and our duty on the board is to make sure that we're getting fair market value of that building, and guarantee the building in 7th Street is nowhere near the value. They have Legion.
I don't know what the, I don't know done that far yet, she just, they may have the money that needs to get started. Yeah.
I don't know if the hold up that is something, but I just told this the appraisal, she can, or I don't understand, she can through that, and all of that, so. Do what else we have to. This company is a little bit more money, Lemon Foundation, is granting us another $20,000 to work on transformational leadership, so that's a thing that will go through, Center for Transforming Education, and, received, called the GRIP Scholarship Grant, oldest education, and this will help 5 of our seniors, through an internship program, which allows them to study for graduation. For these students have already been identified, and who are this one. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of, you know, other detailed information from my report, but I do want to call out, Michelle Senna, for the work that she's doing in her department. There have been some concern with regards to, food or meal offerings. So she had to, so I know what's happening in the farm. But the school menus have been adapted. So there's warmer meals for the kids in the morning. And am I talking about that? Okay, so we tweaked our menus. I've been talking to a lot of our student leadership, and we tweaked our menus to their liking. A lot of our changes are breakfast based. We're doing a lot more like hot dogs and more sandwiches, things like that. And we're trying to, you know, interact with our students just to know that like never participation. Another thing we did was we wouldn't say renovated, but we did get all the appliances at the table kitchen. So we have a brand new kitchen, very new kitchen at that.
did a walkthrough at Robinson to get the same, things like so. So eventually we will have the same thing at Robinson, we put it into that change.
Are these grants that you, you like, thank you.
So reading the people dollars.
We do look at options, but they need to look at the menu and ask. It's not like we have a line of, but most of our options are put to the side because our certain line is like 5 slots. So when they look at the menu, they can say, hey, can I have, like a big burrito instead of. So they can have.
Are we getting that out to students, so they know the house?
That's something that Ms. Senna is working on, we come up with some different scenarios and that's important.
And it's on our menu, our menus are. Probably every serving line, so the kids. They know what, but sometimes it's not, we don't have it available, it'll be kind of similar, but we do have different options. So that was. We have it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Senator, for all you do.
The next, big one is, and we don't. We necessarily need to bring them up in this agenda, but have, a conversation. One of the things that we've seen with regards to our, classified positions, and that includes educational assistants, custodial and maintenance staff, is, we have a high turnover, or we don't have, we have vacancies, those are more difficult positions to fill. So Mr. Scavia has been playing the chess and moving staff around to try to cover positions and so on. One of the considerations that I want to bring forth during budget season, if possible, and again, granted that we have the revenue source coming in, is for the board to consider a higher percentage increase for our classified staff. In our certified staff to hopefully, make it a more marketable and appealing, and this would be for all of our classified employees. So again, it's going to be something that we would definitely need to explore and see if we have the revenue to support that, but I think it would, improve the district and it would show, a good sign of stewardship for our staff that, have remained with us. I know, gentlemen, if you want to say more, or if you guys have any questions for them, but. I think that's the work that's going on. They are, it's still something that, I think we can improve on, that we can do better. Mr. Gonzalez's report, Mr. Gonzalez, we don't have coming up. There is going to be a change, for athletics. I do want to admit once again, I think we're doing an exceptional job and I'm very happy to see this. Is gate revenues for this year. Is for 2 days is $47,424. That $80,000 last year, so we're threshold for that. We make it to 9,000. We were at 4. So we are seeing a very positive impact with that. But there is going to be a change with regards to entrance into our sports season. So I want Mr. Gonzalez to talk about that. And that's what the next.
Sorry, my little cough or something going on. But the president, members of the board, what I would like to do, and the reason for this is, I want to go to the feedback policy. I said it to Ms. Sandoval on the board, but I'll be sending it out district wide. And what this is, throughout the state,
state tournaments, other districts throughout the state, they're going to this quarterback policy. And a lot of them have already implemented it. When you go to a state game at any of the events in Albuquerque, it's all quarterback policy or a no bag policy. The reason why I want to move this is, what we found in exploring some different options later on in the fall season was we put some information out there. We tried no bags and no outside food and drinks. And what we found was that caused a little bit of confusion with our own parents and our supporters of our events. So to streamline it, simplify it, clear everything up, we're gonna go to a better bag policy and the dimensions and everything will be on that flyer. What this does, it reduces the amount of workload for our custodial staff. And what we found inside the gym after games is myself, a handful of game personnel, Stamina, and several others. We stay back and we clean up the gym, and there's excessive amounts of trash and most of it is from outside of the gym, outside of our concession stuff that we sell. So we tried exploring outside food and drinks, and the crazy thing is the biggest fights that we have are with our own fans from Robinson, Las Vegas City School District. So we clear this up and we just go to this like most other districts are, it just simplifies everything. In addition to the positive thing that it brings to our district too is it encourages all of our fans to purchase from our concession stand rather than really food. So it will increase revenue for our concession stand as well. Safety is another big component to that. We're one of a quarterback policy. Obviously, we have concerns with vapes and fights and different things like this. It will help us streamline the process that our gate reduces the amount of drug paraphernalia or weapons coming into our facilities too. So just all in all, it's a good change, and I will put that out to the district once it's approved. I imagine it's going to get approved. So should I talk about anything else that's in my hand?
Okay, I think that's a great idea, Mr. Gonzalez. I know a lot of the other districts are currently doing their best, so it's nice to have. I think you should just go statewide. Sometimes continuity, you don't know when you're going to get it, bag, no bag, what the situation is. But isn't it NAA, it's essential to them, NAA, like the playoff games, things like that, don't require it? So I know we had some issues at the football game because NAA.
They do need they put out some rules. They haven't been very clear as to what they require us to do at our own field. But I know state games at facilities and Albuquerque, it's a mandatory requirement that it's a free back or no back.
That's just good to have continuity, so our fans get used to it right away. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You think they're bringing someone back? You know, tell them you're handling them, or we need to take that out, or we need to get it, what's the liability to them?
Liability and capacity to take it back to the partners or whatever.
If we can't prove it, we can't prove everybody, they decide they're get aware of it.
I think it's, I know Mr. Gonzalez already dealt with something.
I don't know, but I do know that the school districts statewide has a zero tolerance with any kind of tobacco or drug, alcohol, anything like that on our school districts. So if we see it or suspect it, we have the right to turn it away. I've had questions like that from so I reached out to everybody, asked some of the upper management at NMA, Scott Owen, one of the guys, and he said, you have every right to your district. You're in charge of your district. As we have a coordinator, you have the call, the judgment to make that call. So if I run into those issues, more times than not, and there's been a few of them where I approach the individual and just tell me, hey, it's a zero tolerance, you need to take that back and get it out of here. And there's been a few that want to argue about it, but they understand and they eventually reply.
You have that. The zero tolerance.
That would be like, under the something that it's not, unfortunately, it's not just like middle school, but progress and the statewide things. But I will touch that point real quickly. So we have converted to the statewide educational network. And this is working that started when Mr. Tiernan was here. There was some work that was done over the course of the last year and a half or so. We have Mr. Sarkis and his team, they've been working on shifting servers and all of that. So we finally converted over to this network, and the good news with this is that we will be saving approximately $60,000 a year in internet costs for the district. So again, that's either a huge cost savings that go and funnel back into the classrooms or into instructional personnel or areas where we have other security guards. So I mean, again, all of these things that we're trying to do is to work on instruction and safety for students. In addition to that, if you recall the Department of Justice grant that we recently received, will have some of those. They're not necessarily big to for government environmental or something is what they call. So hopefully that'll help out. Last year I did purchase, not myself, but I did ask our technology department to purchase wands, and those are utilized in the school the base one, so that's been very useful. But I will say that is kind of itself, which is going to be like that. Nice. A couple more reports that I want to highlight. As I just threw, and you can talk to me, the Ruby Grant and to you. That's really cool. Events that we can talk to that. Superintendent, members of the board, co-workers, members of the public. So one thing I've done to highlight our department, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, it is what it is a post that I've worked with IT. I've created for each and every staff member to go out on social media and also on the website. It's called Meet the Crew Behind the Commute. So it gives some explanation of what our staff was doing and maybe what their favorite model is or their highlight of their job. And I think it's been very positive. And I encourage everyone to do that in their departments as well, because I think it's important for people to realize all the people that are working for the school district beyond certified staff. Thank you. And the last one, Mrs. Ross. We've been doing and operating quite a bit of work on the a little bit about what has been happening. Okay, as a local report really quickly, we are currently on our 90-day plans. I did get state board certification. It's a very long process, but I completed it. So I will go through the plan and start to ensure that the school and things that align with our goal for our expectations with required rigor and growth in the classroom. We had a ID and CLSC. We have through CLSC. We have the data works company here. They work with the high school and middle school. Typically, I live with direct instruction with students, so we can live more. Cooperative learning, project-based learning, and those types of instructions. We have our principals have been participating in these, actively participating so they can align their work to what's expected of the EPI lesson, as well as elements we worked on grammar and vocabulary. Get participating in there so that they know it's like when they go into the classrooms. We have also as we had teacher changeover, we bring a lot of refresher courses and training on materials and things like the national table, the table, getting the staff that we have now trained and more refreshed, start utilizing them.
And we've been working with the CTE courses, getting our certification through the construction now with the NCCR. Construction I get those training. We submitted reports that is accepted. Thankfully, we need the report. Stating now to the rural low-income schools, the state created a monitoring tool. They were also selecting a few schools across the state. We were selected. So it is due January 15th, and for this we are working on updating our engagement policy when we become you guys to pass. And in one of our meetings that we're all just to the board to show that the school side to the parents that showed up at the meeting. So those are some of the things we're working on. We also our substitute list went from 6 to 26, yay. And we provided them training specific to our district. We made them a handbook and a look to safety drill. We provided contact numbers for all the people in the building. They were given some handbooks to don't know off the top of my head, REC2, and they also started having students, things like that. So we were able to catch the line things across the schools for them, and they're in all of our school settings. I do on the 4-day calendar was mentioned, those were sample questions. If you reviewed and if there's any question that we missed that would be vital to we can adjust it. It was a very brief sampling, but if there's something more, I'm always open for suggestions in that survey. We will be doing again the Thanksgiving food distribution. We have several students identified who we can even as well as the district's family. Each department here at Central Office, the boxes, for the boxes, we're planning on that on Monday. We'll have to do the Tuesday like last year. And I think yes. Yes, we work with the Shadings and Chris can help us on Fridays. We have a Christmas store all of them. We'll be collecting the trees on Friday just to get another thing. So we have that available. And we did attend Friday the medical time. It does not hurt. Yeah. We are working on AI and responsible use for students in the school. It's not going away. To make sure we work we use it and effectively and responsibly. We are starting to pilot in South America IT with several teachers from each school side, representative from each school side. They're going to be focusing on Notebook LM and Gemini, which is a new version of chat. It's safer. It is actually really easy to chat because it is part of our Google Classroom. It's available there. If you ask for 2 times 2, it tells you this how you can solve it. And with that, we can remove ChatGPT and have students use the Gemini. It creates flashcards, it creates lesson plans, it lines it all up. They're really neat resources. If you want to start a pilot, get these teachers to use in the classroom, get their feedback, and then we will train the rest of the staff in January or February, depending on how the pilot goes out. If I can add to that, with Ms. Garcia, if you want to invite us, Ms. Garcia, Dr. Reddy, and myself, attended a 2-day conference in Florida, and we are part of the cohort with, I believe, 16 districts across the nation. So we are getting coached on the use of AI in embedding policies and procedures, and utilizing it effectively in our classrooms and for our staff as well. So it is an ongoing process. Mr. Benavides is sitting in on our coaching sessions while we're on site, so we think we'll be strong as we continue to move forward. The technology world.
Thank you.
Any questions or?
Can the AI stuff kind of be shared with Chair Brown? Because we had our staff meeting today and part of the goals that they're setting up for the year is involved in and social media kind of stuff. So any information that you're getting that would help in that arena, we can share it with the or you want to let us on check me.
So our plan is once we have this pilot and we have done the ins and outs, we will do it all district employee training on one of our PDAs, so everybody will have access to come in and see how it works, not just for the classroom, but I mean, I utilize ChatGPT, so it's going to be a vital tool for me as well. So we do plan to put it across to everybody. If you are more than welcome to join us when we have the training, we will put out the invitation when we have that confirmed. Thank you.
I think, congratulations on the increase in substitutes. I know that is a big challenge for our district and that's something that is, I think providing professional training is a big deal. So thank you for that.
Very last thing I want to say is, with our strategic plan, we can talk to Mr. David Chavez. And I have asked to delay the work on the strategic plan and the board training until our team board members come on board in January. So we have a couple of dates highlighted, but I'd like to first talk to you all once we're in the board members come on and then schedule them. With that, thank you for listening to our long presentation, but thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Sandoval, and then on the agenda is executive session.
Thank you, motion, and we're going to do the executive session.
A motion by Dr. Gonzalez, have a second. Have a second, by Dr. Peter.
Board member Dan Junior,
Yes.
board member David Cordoza, board secretary Dr. Joe Luther, board vice president Paul Gonzalez, board president Anthony Thompson.
Yes, Board of Education, section for students, MSA 1978, section 1518, discussion of the end of any litigation, the all versus Buffalo City School. And anyone versus Buffalo City School. Item D, the Board of Education, universal session, section 1978, section 1015. HCC, discussion of the online review and evaluation of superintendent. We are now in executive session. NEA versus Buffalo City School, PLRD 132.5, and the Board of Education will reconvene in open session pursuant to MSA 1978 section 1015(1)H2, discussion of limited personnel matter review and evaluation of superintendent. We don't have to speak in, we are now in regular session of 8.7. Next item on the agenda would be discussion action possible, discussion of voting regarding this in executive session. Speaking, future plan, item A, 2025 MSBA annual convention, December 4th to 6th, 2025, and this is Suite Mountain, UNESCO. We go to Denise to the Sandoval, if they're attending.
And did you already reach out to the board member?
Next item on the agenda, that would be regular board meeting December 18th, 2025. Is that all still? Everybody still good with that? Yes. If, there's no other business in front of the board, or there can motion for adjournment. Got a motion by Mr. Romero, one second. Second by Dr. Luther, no one takers, go by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried.
I think